You make me happy as a man could be. You're the only woman that I need. You feel what I feel, I know what you need. You're the kind of woman like to be pleased. I done punched that clock, headed home from work. I can't wait to see that minutes girl. You keep a smile on my face each and every day. Yeah. You keep me happy, baby. You make me.
I got him in the building. We'll figure that out. Good morning. How's everybody feeling? So we're expecting, we're going to have another great breakfast. Pennsylvania Democrats, how was that yesterday? Yesterday we had a great day. We heard from our president, Joe Biden. We thanked him for the service he had. Service that he has rendered that is distinctly different from anything that the other guy would do. When he stood up for this country, as he has consistently, and didn't he sound great? We heard from Hillary Clinton. Secretary Clinton can still throw a few punches. And she told the truth as it was and reminded us that we must be constantly vigilant and not believe and not worry about the polls, but work hard, because at this point the polls had her up, and as you know, while she won the popular vote, she came up just a little short, and that's how we got the Orange Menace to begin with. I want to thank all of you for the work you've done and the energy we have. We have 77 days till Election Day, and we need to get it done. Pennsylvania is the keystone state to the Blue Wall. And so much of what we do is powered by our friends in organized labor. And so today, I have the honor and privilege of bringing up one of my leaders. Because you know, I am a dues-paid, card-carrying member of the Laborers International Union of North America, as was my father before me. And so I'm going to present to some and introduce to others the sponsor of this breakfast this morning, the business manager of the Laborers District Council. I used to say of Southeastern PA, but I think he got Maryland. He goes all the way down to Virginia now. He's also the business manager of the Philadelphia Building Trades, none other than my friend Ryan Boyer.
Good morning, Democrats. Good morning. Let's give Chairman Street a hand. Vice Chair Grove a hand. Is Peggy here? Stand up, Peggy. I'm standing here on behalf of the Philadelphia Building Trades. More than 30,000 hard-working men and women that work in public sector, construction. We build roads, we build bridges, we build schools, and in fact, we build bridges to the new century. And our cousins, the Carpenters, are here too. Thank you, Joe. I'm here to deliver a message. Polls don't vote, but Pennsylvanians do. And we have to get all Pennsylvanians first registered to vote and then get them out to vote. What's on the ballot this year may appear to be Trump versus Harris, but what's on the ballot is reproductive freedom, access to education, the right to vote, and all the BS that's associated with Project 2025. That's on the ballot. Therefore, the men and women of the Philadelphia building trades and our cousins, the carpenters, are going to put our expertise, our time and our talent, and yes, our treasure on the line to pull out every vote in Pennsylvania. And in so much so, and I see Sincere Harris and I see Aaron Platt here, I don't see the mayor, but I was having a cup of coffee with Ed Gainey, the mayor of Pittsburgh, and I made a wager on behalf of our mayor of Philadelphia. And whoever had the highest voter turnout, the other city has to wear the jersey of the opposing team. So when Philadelphia wins, you're going to see Ed Gainey with a Kelly green jersey on, because Philadelphia is going to have a higher voter turnout than Allegheny County. We must have things like that. And we also have to go back to old school. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight, on a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em high, and watch those Eagles fly. You don't know how much this hurts me. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Now, everybody that knows me intimately and personally, know how much I must love. There she is, Madam Mayor. I made a bet on your behalf, Madam Mayor. I made a bet with Ed Gainey that Philadelphia is going to get a higher voter turnout than Allegheny County. And whoever wins have to wear the opposing team's jersey. So we're going to love to see Ed Gainey and Kelly Green, right? So with that being said, enjoy tonight's festivities. We have more great speakers. The speakers last night was great, but I cannot leave this stage without having a chant, and I want everybody to repeat after me. On 3, I want to say, thank you, Joe. 1, 2, 3, thank you, Joe.
All right. Now, given that we are the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, not the Philadelphia Democratic Party, we're going to hear from an artist who's also a big-time officer in the Allegheny County Democratic Party. Morgan Overton, come on up.
Is Pennsylvania in the house this morning? I know that's right. Good morning, family. My name is Morgan Overton. I am a 5th-generation Pittsburgher. Is Pittsburgh in the house this morning? I know we heard from Philadelphia, but is the black and gold in here? I'm a first-time delegate. Thank you. And I am the first, but hopefully not the last, black woman to serve as vice chair of the Allegheny County Democratic Party. But the first hat I have ever worn was an artist. My art is an ode to the Bell Hooks quote. Everybody say Bell Hooks. Bell Hooks was a black feminist author. And her quote was, "The function of art is to do more than tell it like it is. It's to imagine what's possible." Y'all, we are in a moment of what's possible right now. As an artist, artist, my hope is to center our humanity. And my hope is that when you see my art, you see yourself. We've all heard the phrase, a photo can speak 1,000 words. My goal is to visually give the language to the people and the things that deserve to be centered. The stories that I'm centering is democracy, is racial justice, reproductive justice, economic justice, and the future that we all rightfully deserve. So, where can you support my work, you ask? Well, you're in luck, because my table is right outside our Pennsylvania delegation. But on the internet, you can find my work at www.mointhestudio.com. And if you're in Pittsburgh, I have 2 pieces on exhibit in August Wilson's house in the historic Hill District. I appreciate you all, and onward we go.
Good morning. Are you guys awake? Are you ready? Well, I'll tell you what. So we were joking last night when they were talking about all this unity. We're sitting on the floor. We were just waiting for somebody from the National Party to ask everybody to throw their ones up. Because in Philadelphia, we are very used to a mayor who has energized us, who has brought down crime, who has made our city cleaner, greener, safer, with economic opportunities for all. And I'm going to present to some and introduce to others my friend who's the first woman to serve as the mayor of the city of Philadelphia, the Honorable Sherelle Parker.
Love you, love you, love you, love you. Good morning, Pennsylvania. I gotta go back and rewind myself into time when I moved a little faster and I used to carry pom-poms. Did y'all know the mayor of Philadelphia used to carry pom-poms? I was a cheerleader for a little league group called the Oak Lane Wildcats. And we had this saying that we would start with. We would say, tell me how y'all feel. And then everybody who was on the field, they would say, fired up. So let me practice with y'all. I'm a teacher too, so y'all better not get it wrong. Let me hear you. When I say how y'all feel, I want to hear y'all say fired up. How y'all feel? Fired up. How y'all feel? Okay, and then when I say, what's our number? You say 1. What's our number? 1. What's our number? 1. When I say, who are we? You say, Democrats. Who are we? Democrats. Who are we? Democrats. And what are we going to do? Win. All right. Tell me how y'all feel. Tell me how y'all feel. What's our number? 1. What's our number? 1. Who are we? Who are we? And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? PA? Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. I don't know about you all, but when I look around this room, I see a group of soldiers. And I don't care who you are. Whenever you've been in any kind of battle, if you've ever been a part of any team, you know that even the strongest warriors get tired sometimes. And when you get tired, you have to find a way, just like electricity works, to plug into power, to get re-energized. That's why we come together as Democrats, and Democrats from all over the nation, to gather here so that we can remember who we are. How many of you have ever seen the movie Black Panther? If you've seen Black Panther, raise your hand. Chairman Street, Mitch Cates, all of the staff of the Democratic Party, you all have allowed us to have what I call my Angela Bassett moment. Do you all remember at the beginning of the movie when it got started, Prince T'Challa, who is now being challenged for the throne as king, he is in a battle with M'Baku. And M'Baku is super duper whooper huge, Joe. He's like you. He's big. He's a big guy. And you watching the movie, you say to yourself, Lord, how is Prince T'Challa going to be able to withstand the power, the outside power, the outsized power of M'Baku? And when he's down, mama bears. How many mama bears in the audience? Angela Bassett is the mama bear. She's standing back with all of the villagers, and she shouts from the sidelines, show him who you are. Show him who you are. Guess what we are doing here on today? We are getting plugged into power so that when each of us go back to our respective counties, we do the work that we need to ensure that our people are plugged into the power and we remember who we are as Democrats. Because if you don't have a purpose in remembering the why, all of this is for naught. But on last night, what did our President Joe Biden do? Did he remind us who we are? He reminded us, give Joe Biden a round of applause, our president. I don't know about all of you. I am, and last night I have watched during the few years that I have been elected to public office. When I looked around last night and looked at all of the respective states, I saw what I think many people don't want us to remember. And that is, guess what? Urban, rural, and suburban America all together. And here, yeah, give that a round of applause. Urban, rural, and suburban America all together. And then there's Senator Raphael Warnock. How many of you watched Senator Raphael Warnock? Oh, when he said, and it's still in my spirit on this morning, when people don't have a vision, they peddle in division. They will find a way to use our race, our class, our socioeconomic status, our zip code. They will try to pit rural America, rural Pennsylvania against urban Pennsylvania, against suburban Pennsylvania, in the hope that we will take our eye off of the North Star that should be guiding us. And the North Star for us has been what we heard has been the North Star for the woman who's going to be the 47th president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. What did they tell us her North Star was last night? The North Star, when she showed up in court, what did they say? She would say, Kamala Harris, for the people, for the people. That is our why. That is why we are here. We have to remember who we are and remember we are the party. Where's labor? Ryan Boyer was here. Ryan Boyer, President Joe Biden reminded us that Wall Street didn't build America. He didn't build, and they didn't build the middle class. Unions built the middle class. Unions built the middle class. And listen, the middle class is what built America. So what is my hope before we leave here today? That when we go home to our respective counties, we remind them that we have work to do at the top of the ticket. I don't care if you're in urban, rural, or suburban Pennsylvania, turnout for us is the key. Pennsylvania knows what it's like to win a close election. We've been here before. We're not new to this. We know what it's like to deliver under immense pressure. So when we go back, we have to energize our base by doing what we do better than anybody else, and that's organize. Let me hear you say organize. Listen, organize. That means our party chairman, and Mitch, hey, Chairman Street, I do whatever Mitch tells me to do. I want you to know I'm a good soldier. When we go home, we've got to get back to our respective counties. We've got to say to our committee members in neighborhoods across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we have to use every vehicle possible to remind people about voting. Now, if you're like me in my area, and when I worked to become the first woman mayor in 341 years in the city of Philadelphia, and a whole lot of people said that you would not do it, in my mind, when people kept saying that it was impossible, I stayed focused on the why. What's the why? The why is the need for more affordable housing. The why is supporting our veterans. The why is dealing with our homeless crisis that we have. The why is making sure that it is true. We make not just Philadelphia and not just our beloved southeastern Pennsylvania, but the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We make it the safest, cleanest, greenest, Commonwealth in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. But we can't do that without having partners in the White House, without having partners in the Commonwealth. Our Governor Josh Shapiro, our Lieutenant Governor, we're also, I haven't seen them this morning. Give them a huge round of applause. Our Congresswoman, I see her standing. Give Mary Gay Scanlon, Madeline Dean, Dwight Evans, Brendan Boyle a huge round of applause. I also want us to remember this. While we remind people that the Harris-Walsh team, that they are our team at the top, let me say this to you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Don't you forget down ballot offices. Don't you forget Bob Casey in that United States Senate seat. Let's not forget Malcolm Kenyatta for Auditor General. Give Malcolm Kenyatta. We cannot forget why we are here. Working people, working class people, organized labor, Medicare, Social Security, health care for all. I don't know about you, but when I listened last night, and maybe again, so cheerleader and I ran track. How many of y'all been watching the Olympics? Did you watch? Did you watch the 4x1 and the 4x400 meter relays? What do you notice is most important in all those? If you've ever run a relay before, raise your hand. All right. For those of you who've ever run a relay, you know the most, listen, this is important. The most important part of running a relay race is not necessarily how fast you go. Your split can be mean. I ran third leg. Did y'all see Gabby in that 4x100 meter relay when she ran? And my little TT, did y'all see TT's legs going? She ran second leg. And listen, and I think about that 4x400 meter relay. And we watched them do what no one thought that they would be able to do. But no matter how fast you are, no matter how well you do individually, Chairman, you could have some committee people in one particular division. You could have, I see a county leader here. You could have one county do extremely well. None of it will matter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania if we're not making sure that we're not passing the baton, that we are not electrifying the base, and those strategies we have to take from county to county to county. So no eyes, only we. We have the power. We're here today to plug into the power to ensure that Democrats win from the top to the bottom of the ticket, up and down. Let me see you all put your ones in the air. Put your ones in the air. I'm a teacher. Don't make me come out there. Let me hear you say, 1 PA. 1 PA. Kamala Harris. Tim Walz. Bob Casey. Malcolm Kenyatta. And every Democrat on the ballot. Tell me how y'all feel. Tell me how y'all feel. What's our number? What's our number? Who are we? Who are we? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Take it away, Governor. We ready for you.
Coming up here. Mayor, stay up here for a second. We got the mayor of Philadelphia, but now I'm going to introduce. So Democrats, we win everywhere. We can win at big urban centers like Philadelphia with Mayor Parker, and we can win in places that people didn't think we can win in. We can win without denying, while we protect a woman's right to choose. We can win while accepting the science around climate change. We can win all over the place, and I'll tell you why I know we can win, because Governor Beshear has shown us we can win in Kentucky. And if we can win in Kentucky, that means we can win in Red County, Pennsylvania as well. We're going to win across this nation. We have a great ticket, and we have one of the future, we have one of the current leaders and one of the stars of the Democratic Party across America, Governor Beshear.
Thank you. Good morning. My name's Andy Beshear, and I am the proud Democratic governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. If you don't know me, I'm the guy that last November beat Mitch McConnell's handpicked candidate, that last November beat Donald Trump's handpicked candidate, and this November is going to help elect Kamala Harris as our next president of the United States. I'm also proud to be a person who formed a PAC called In This Together. It's about winning tough races, and I'm here to tell you today we are endorsing Bob Casey. We're going to make sure he's reelected to the United States Senate. To introduce myself, I am a proud pro-union governor. I am a proud pro-public education governor. I'm a proud pro-choice governor. I'm a proud pro-diversity governor. And I'm a proud pro-Kamala Harris for president governor. I think we proved last November that we as Democrats can win everywhere. And it's about knowing what Josh Shapiro, my friend, who I was proud to stand next to, who you all helped win a decisive victory in that last governor's race. Thank you for delivering. What we know is that while we are here as proud Democrats, while we are fired up, that most people when they wake up in the morning aren't thinking about their party, aren't even thinking about this race. They're thinking about their job and whether they make enough to support their family. They're thinking about their next doctor's appointment for themselves or their parents or their kids. They're thinking about the roads and the bridges that they drive, and y'all repair bridges faster than anybody in the country. They're thinking about their public school they drop their kids off at. They're thinking about public safety in their community. So Democrats, when we run and when we govern, where people wake up in the morning, we don't move our states to the right or to the left. We move them forward for every single citizen and for every single American. And I am so proud to support Kamala Harris, who is smart and strong, and that's going to make her a good president. But she is also kind and has empathy, and that's going to make her a great president. And how about the energy, the unprecedented energy that we're seeing all across the country? First, it's going to help her and Tim Walz win in November, but then it's going to help move us past what we've seen these last 8 years. Enough of the constant back and forth. Enough of the constant us versus them. Enough of the anger politics. It's time to end that type of politics right here and right now. Kamala Harris is going to be the type of president that serves every single American. Reminds us that we are members of this great country first and everything else second or third. She's going to end neighbors arguing with neighbors simply because of the registration box they checked and move us to a better place where we we live out our faith and our values. I know these last years have been tough. I know the culture wars going on every single day pulls apart our families, but there is a better America waiting just around the corner. And to get there, we've got to elect Kamala Harris as our next president of the United States of America. So y'all know how important you are in this election, don't you? Winning Pennsylvania is going to win this election. Are you ready to do it? But I want you to know that in the rest of the country, we see you. We see the work you put in. We're proud and we're standing next to you. We know that you got to fight in every county, that there are voters in every part of your state, that every single vote matters. And for us as Democrats, we've got to go into every county, every area. So Josh and I just finished this little thing called the Veep Stakes. It got a little bit of coverage. But my favorite part of it was getting to go to places like Iowa, was getting to go to places like Oklahoma, was getting to go to one of the most Republican counties in Georgia, because Democrats need to show up in every part of America. While I know Pennsylvania loves being this important, we all long for presidential elections where 6 or 7 states don't decide it. We all long for every state to matter. We all want every single vote, every single presidential election, and every other election to matter. And that means we fight in every part of this country for our values and to elect the very best candidates. So Pennsylvania, I'm excited. You are going to deliver the presidency for Kamala Harris. You are going to re-elect Bob Casey to the United States Senate. You're going to keep supporting a great governor in Josh Shapiro. And then together, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, 2 great commonwealths. We and every other state are going to do good things. We're going to help every single one of our people. We're going to recognize there is so much opportunity in America that we don't have to leave anyone behind, that every child can get a good education, everyone can have a good job, everyone can afford the health care they need, and everyone can succeed. We succeed as Americans when everyone is included and we leave no one behind. Thank you all very much.
All right, I bet another hand for Governor Beshear. All right, folks, listen. It's not over. We have a strong lineup of speakers. I will tell you, this next speaker is a person who I've known for a very long time. He knows how to get things done. He knows how to pull people together. But like so many of us, his journey in politics started with a personal thing. Like me, he lost a loved one to gun violence, but he took his pain and brought purpose out of it. Created an organization called Peace Not Guns, started knocking on doors in his community, started getting organized, went to work for his state senator. And by the way, I see the leader of Democrats in the state senate. Let's give a hand for Jay Costa. Worked for his state senator. And they got elected to city council. They got elected to the General Assembly, but decided he wanted to come home and work on issues that were important around making sure that his neighborhood was taken care of. So ran for the Philadelphia City Council, and his colleagues just elected him the City Council President of the City of Philadelphia, none other than my friend, the Honorable Council President of the City of Philadelphia, Kenyatta Johnson.
Thank you, Sharif. When we fight, let's clap it up, y'all. First and foremost, as he mentioned, I'm Kenyatta Johnson, City Council President from the City of Philadelphia, but I want to start off by acknowledging our chairman, Sharif Street. Let's give him a real big round of applause, please. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge our mayor, the first woman mayor in the City of Philadelphia, Madam Sherelle Parker. Give her a round of applause as well. And it's truly an honor and a privilege to be here. And so for me, it comes down to one thing. and us making sure that we turn out the vote on November the 5th to make sure that Kamala Harris is the next president of these United States. Now I'll tell you this. When we talk about this particular election, the values of our American society is at stake. On this ballot on November the 5th, character is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. But most importantly, the things that we value as Democrats is on the ballot. But I'll tell you this. A couple days ago, the orange guy came to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. But he did say one thing that was very, very profound. You know what he said that I paid attention to? Pennsylvania will determine the next president of these United States. So what does that mean? From Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, from Montgomery County to Allegheny County, we got to turn out the vote. We got to go house by house, block by block, county by county, and leave no stone unturned, because at the end of the day, if we don't turn this vote out, shame on us. We got to make sure that not only we register people to vote, but we got to tell people why it's important that they show up to the ballot and vote on November 5th. We got to let them know if we're fighting for affordable housing, making sure that that's still on the ballot, making sure we're fighting for child care, and making sure that we're fighting for common sense gun laws. But most importantly, we have to all make sure that we're working together to make sure Kamala Harris becomes the president of these United States, and we're cranking out the vote on November the 5th. So are y'all with me? Yeah. Are we going to turn the vote out? Yeah. I can't hear you. Yeah. Now how about this? When we vote, listen, thank you very much. I'm Council President Kenyatta Johnson. Thank you for having me here. And to Sharice Street, my brother, we just want to thank you for your hard work and your dedication. God bless y'all. Let's win on November 5th. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Listen, we're not done. Pennsylvania, people understand how important it is. And we understand it's important to win in every corner of this Commonwealth. That's why we have a 67-county strategy. We work from the reddest county to the bluest county to the purple suburbs and everything in between. We're out there organizing and working and figuring out how to get things done. Now, when you got a county, when you got a Commonwealth with 13 million people that have areas that border Delaware, and go all the way up to Erie, where if you want to fly into Erie, from Philadelphia, you got to fly to Detroit and take a shuttle. That's how big the Commonwealth is. We need folks to help us figure all this out. So the next person is a person that I'm going to introduce who has advised folks and knows a little bit about winning and a little bit about making history. He helped advise our first African-American president, Barack Obama, when we made history in 2008. And now we're about to make history again. And so David Bluth, come on up and help show us the way. We appreciate you for being here. You helped us make history once, and we want you to help us do it again. Thank you.
All right, Pennsylvania. First of all, I will start. President Obama speaking tonight, so I'll thank Pennsylvania for giving him 2 dominating victories back in the day. Thank you. And once again, you're the center of the political universe. As Pennsylvania goes, so goes the country. And I saw your great governor downstairs. He obviously showed us the way. Senator Fetterman, Senator Casey, you guys know how to do it. Trump won it once. Interestingly enough, I'm a data guy, so I'll use a few numbers. He won it with 48.6% of the vote back in 2016. Third-party vote share, a little higher. Lost it with 48.8. And as you guys know, this is a tight race. We got a lot of energy. We're going to build this week. You guys are organizing in all 67 counties. And, I used to spend nights not sleeping, dreaming about Pennsylvania, thinking about Pennsylvania. You guys know the recipe. We got to run it up where we got to run it up. We got to do well in places like Erie County, where Joe Biden did such a great job in 2020. And in the rest of those counties, we got to keep that Trump margin down, right? That's why people on the ground making their case. And listen, This is unprecedented political times. When you're living through history, sometimes it's hard to appreciate it, but that's what we're doing. A lot of change, but we've got a lot of enthusiasm. But Kamala Harris has a lot to do. The people that will decide this election, many of them don't even know she was a prosecutor. They don't know she was an AG. They don't know what she accomplished. We got to fill in that for people. We've got to tell people what we think this race is about, which is one of these two people is going to be president of the United States. What's Donald Trump going to do? Now, he's the same guy he was back in 2016, narcissist, hateful, undemocratic. Two things have changed. He's 8 years older. He's the oldest person ever to seek this office, and that matters to people. And secondly, he's got a plan this time, and that plan is Project 2025. And we got to tattoo that Trump blueprint across the state of Pennsylvania so people will know what he's going to do, in contrast to Kamala Harris, who's going to talk about everything she's going to do to help the middle class, help on issues like health care, Social Security, and Medicare. So as campaigns go, we have multiple things to do in 77 days. So your help's going to be essential. We've got to introduce her, in some cases reintroduce her. Biography, values, where she comes from. She's from the middle class. She understands the middle class. We've got to define Trump, what he will do as president, much more dangerous this time. And we've got to make sure we seize those big moments. You're going to see a lot of Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. You already have. You'll keep doing that. Campaign will do everything we can to help you. But you are it. You're the tipping point state right now. Those 19 electoral votes go to Trump. Kamala Harris can still win, but it's a heck of a lot harder. Those 19 electoral votes go blue again, and I think you're looking at her as our 47th president of the United States. So, nobody knows how to win elections more than people in this room, so we want to do what we can to help you. We'll spend the money we can, help feed the field organization, give you the principles a lot, but very few people in history have sat in a room like you and have an opportunity to keep someone like him from the Oval Office again. If we don't do that, shame on us, in my view. It's in our power to make sure this person never gets near that place again where he can do the damage and destruction he did again, and he'll compound this time, and elect an amazing person like Kamala Harris as our next president. So Pennsylvania, let's go blue, let's get those 19 electoral votes, and let's have a great last 11 weeks. See you guys. Thank you.
How y'all feeling? Are you energized? Are you ready to win? Well, listen, we're here, we're talking about making history and breaking glass ceilings. Our next speaker knows a little bit about breaking glass ceilings and succeeding in spaces and places where folks didn't expect them. Now, we had the Republicans and Donald Trump talking about what a woman's job was with the vice president, what a black job was, they're just jobs, and we need to make sure they're filled by the best people, and those people can get paid a decent hour's wage and for a decent pay. And our next speaker is a person that's doing that, and she's proven that a woman's place is in the boardroom, a woman's place is on the picket line, a woman's place is fighting for our rights, and a woman's place is making sure we take care of workers. The president of the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO, Angela Ferrito!
Thank you, Sheree. Thank you. Well, good morning, Pennsylvania Democrats. Thank you for that introduction, Chairman Street. That was very energizing. I'm so happy to be here with all of you this morning and to be here with you this week attending this history-making convention. At the State Fed, we spend our days standing up for workers and union members across our Commonwealth. I want to give a big thank you to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for being the most pro-labor administration in history. President Biden and Vice President Harris have stood up for our unions and our workers. They literally have stood shoulder to shoulder with workers and have built an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, one where everyone could get by and get ahead. They've championed historic investments like the Inflation Reduction Act
that got people back on their feet and created thousands of good-paying union jobs. The IRA, like many of the historic achievements by President Biden and Vice President Harris, represents an investment in unions, an investment in our communities, and an investment in the future. Because of projects and investments like these, union density is higher than it has been in over a decade. They've oversaw record job growth. They've ensured corporations that tried to cheat working families have paid their fair share. They stopped Pennsylvania jobs from being shipped overseas, and they brought manufacturing back home. And now, Kamala Harris is going to keep up this fight. She has workers' backs. She is fighting for a future where all Americans don't just get by, but they get ahead. The Vice President has a proven track record of standing alongside unions. As a senator, she walked picket lines with the UAW. As the Vice President, she refused interviews that would have forced her to cross picket lines. And she has continually fought for our right to organize and negotiate wages and benefits so that more of our families and friends can prosper. That's why we are fired up to elect Vice President Kamala Harris as our next president. We are going to work every day, having conversations with every single one of our members to help them understand how this election affects them, from the bread box to the ballot box. We are going to drive out the vote in Pennsylvania, and we are going to leave it all on the field to ensure Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States. Thank you, and enjoy the convention.
Folks, our friends in organized labor have helped us knock on doors. They're protecting workers' rights, and we're going to hear from some more labor leaders. Now, our next labor leader is a guy who was a business manager of the Plumbers Union. But then he decided that wasn't good enough. He wanted to get engaged and get in the game a little bit deeper. And so I'm pleased and proud to serve with him in the Pennsylvania Senate, where he works with me along with Leader Costa to fight for workers' rights, to fight for our kids' education, to fight for the environment, to fight for a woman's right to choose. A guy who has been on the battle lines fighting, and guess what? He flipped his seat from red to blue, and now he's made it solid blue out there in Delaware and Chester County. I'm pleased to introduce to some and present to others my friend and my colleague in the Pennsylvania Senate, the former business manager for the Plumbers, and Senator John Kane.
Oh. Thank you. Good to see all the Democrats here today. I'm Senator John Kane. But before I was a senator, I was a labor leader with the Plumbers Union in the city of Philadelphia. Labor in the house? Is labor in the house? That's right. Well, the plumbers and pipe fitters and the steam fitters and the sprinkler fitters of the state of Pennsylvania provided this morning's breakfast. So I'm here to personally thank them for doing this for all of us this morning. I also want to thank our chairman, Sharif Street, our vice chair, Peggy. Where you at, Peggy? This is all about getting Democrats elected this year. It's about getting people involved in the party. I was asked to help out when I took over my union in 2007 on a couple little council races out in Delaware County. And if anybody knows Delaware County, it was red, completely red. Somebody asked me to help out, and I did. We ended up winning 2 seats in Upper Darby. That person asked me for help. That person is Emmett Harity, right here. I don't know if I should like him or hate him, because he's the one that got me involved to run for Senate. But all it takes is sometimes just to ask somebody for a little bit of help. And right now, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are asking for our help. We need to be there. We need to get everybody out to vote this year. As they say every year, this is the most important election of our lifetime, and I'll be damned if I'm going to lose this year. I'm up for election with a lot of other people. We're down ballot. Keep the momentum going, but I was also taught by Bob Brady. Congressman Bob Brady used to tell me all the time, you want to be a good politician, gang? Yes, sir. Well, be good, be fast, and be gone when you're up there speaking. So, good seeing everybody. Keep it going. Love yous all.
All right. So we've heard from people from the cities, the big cities of Pennsylvania. We had speakers from Pittsburgh and Philly. We've heard from speakers from the suburbs. We've heard from some rural speakers, but we're going to hear from, look, most of Pennsylvanians live in small towns and small cities. That's where most of Pennsylvanians live. Most of Pennsylvanians live in a way where they just care about what's going on with their neighbors, and where they can talk to where the mayor knows everybody in town, and he's sitting there for Friday night lights making sure things happen, where he's paying attention to high school football games, and he understands how important having somebody like Coach Walz who can connect with people is. Our next speaker, he understands how important it is to have someone who served as a local DA like Kamala Harris did is. He understands that that's much more helpful than billionaires and people that work for tech companies. Our next speaker is a guy who's holding it down in Aliquippa, the mayor of Aliquippa, Dewan Walker. Come on up here, Mayor. Tell us about it.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm a football coach. I feed off energy. No, I'm the mayor of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, 12 years, 4 terms. I'm who you fighting for. My city is where you fighting for. My rural city is who you fighting for. So I'll give you a history lesson. April 12, 1936, the Wagner Act was signed. You know what the Wagner Act is? The reason why you can collectively bargain was signed in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. So please don't lose sight of that. Second thing, you need to understand, Democrats, it's stories like mine in these rooms, these big rooms that I'm not used to being in. But I promise you I'm going to own this thing while I got it. I'm 6'1", 300 pounds, and I don't run fast. But what you see is what you get. I stand 10 toes down in my community. I love my city with my whole heart. I make $175 to be the mayor. I feed up the chest bumps and high fives. That's what I get. But I want you to know something today. When you cast your ballot, when you go back to your communities, know who you fighting for. Know who you rallying for. Because there's people like mine, there's people in my community who have suffered. I'm the first African-American mayor in the city of Aliquippa history. The first. But I don't take first being lightly. Because if I mess this thing up, there'll never be another. So I got to act right, I got to be right, I got to do right. But you have to understand, family, listen. This is an election for our lives. Every one of them are. There's no such thing as small elections. Every election is possible. Every election is important. We are all in a battleground state, battleground community. Gun violence. The reason why I ran for mayor, September 5th, 2009, my sister was shot and killed. She was murdered. The mayor at the time treated my sister like she was just nobody. That challenged me to go change and fix where I rest my head at. To get in the game, stop waving fingers at people say what they not do. But I got in the game so I can affect it from the inside out. And I'm 12 years in, 4 terms in. cast your ballot for a politician or a mayor. But I guarantee you, when you cast your ballot, when that mayor looks to his left or his right, you should be standing there. It's one thing to click a name, but it's one thing to ride out with them, ride out with her, because they need your support. This is a thankless job. This is not for the faint of heart. So if you in this thing, know that it's going to cost you something. It cost me sleep. It cost me where I rest my head, my mental health. It cost me a lot. 3 weeks ago, a kid got shot in front of my house, and I administered aid. So I'm not just one of these mayors that show their hands and do this. No, I'm in the trenches. I'm Coach Twin. I love my community. I love this whole state. I love Beaver County, but we cannot do it alone. Beaver County is critical in this election. Critical. And when I mean critical, that means critical for everyone in this room. Because if we turn that little small town red, turn it blue, we win. You ain't got to worry about our Cooper. We're going to turn blue. We dark blue. We ain't no light blue. We dark blue. So I welcome this opportunity to stand before you, because it ain't the last time you're going to see me. But I promise you this, we will change Pennsylvania. One house at a time, one block at a time, one street at a time, one house at a time, one community at a time. That's how it's done. Elected officials, get out there. Stop clickbait. Stop riding around in cars. Get 10 toes down in your community. Learn the history of where you're from, and I promise you, you'll change things from the inside out. And if you look so much different, outside looking in and inside looking out. So God bless you. Keep fighting. Keep understanding who you fighting for. If we are the Democratic Party of the people, then show it, do it, be it, because it's time now. Because my daughters, I'm a girl dad, 3 daughters coming behind me, and we need to fight for them. The right to choose their body, what they want to do. Ain't nobody touching my kids. I know I ain't gonna let nobody touch your kids. Like I said, I may look like a bodyguard, but I promise you I'm coming. So God bless y'all. Enjoy this moment. Be in these moments, because you're going to change things. God bless y'all. Thank y'all.
All right. The mayor brought the thunder, huh? Listen, those coaches know how to fire you up. We're going to hear from another guy, another local leader who's representing a county that's got a few more people. He's a guy who's organized across this Commonwealth, organized suburban folks, organized Indian Americans. He's raised money. He knocks doors. He's full of energy, and he's always got another idea. He is the commissioner. He's one of our 2 commissioners in Montgomery County, and he is a ball of energy and one of the rising stars in the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. Commissioner Neil Makija, come on up.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Chairman Street. Thank you. Monco's in the house. I see you. Hi, everyone. My name's Neil Makija. I'm brand new to this. I'm the Montgomery County Commissioner. Last year, I had the honor of being elected as the first Asian American across the Commonwealth in the history of Pennsylvania as a county commissioner. And I've had the honor of serving alongside someone who joined the commission last year, the first black woman ever to serve in Montgomery County. That's Jamila Winder. Jamila here? And so we know a thing or two about firsts in Montgomery County, and I want to share with you what that means to us going into this next 75 days. I've had the privilege of knowing Kamala Harris for 15 years. I was with her in some of the toughest moments of her career in politics, and let me tell you, she is tough, she is fearless, and she is ready to be President of the United States. So I grew up in a small coal and steel town in Jim Thorpe in Carbon County, Pennsylvania. Are there any northeastern PA people here? Any Lehigh Valley? So my parents never dreamed of getting involved in politics. They didn't even vote all the time. But they came from a city of 22 million to a town of 5,000 to provide reproductive health care to women in rural Pennsylvania for over 40 years. They understood that a woman's right to choose was sacred and was hers and hers alone. but they never thought about serving in public service or getting involved in policy because there was never anyone who looked like us in the halls of power. That started to change in 2010 when we got to hear about a woman named Kamala Harris from San Francisco. I met her early on, and she was dedicated and focused on inspiring a new generation of leaders from every community to get involved in public service. She told me that if I became a lawyer, I didn't have to go work for a corporation and help them make more money. I could serve the most vulnerable like her. And I ended up doing that, working on the cases for the opioid crisis and protecting voting rights at a time they've been under attack. Kamala Harris has always been for the people throughout her career. And when I say for the people, I mean all the people. She's the person, when you're in the room with her, no matter who you are, what's in your pocket, what you're worth, what your title is, she turns to you and asks, what's your view of this? How can we handle this situation? And when you think about what's best about Democrats, us at our best, we are for the people. You think about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the safety net and fighting for building a working class. That is what has made Democrats great. And in Montgomery County, when Jamila and I took office in the first 100 days, we knew we wanted to embody those principles. We passed the most generous paid leave policy for public sector workers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Up to 16 weeks, fully paid. We invested in infrastructure to ensure that we meet our clean energy goals not in decades from now, but in years, in a few years from now in Montgomery County. And we made sure to work with leaders like our district attorney and our sheriff to reduce gun violence and keep people safe. And the message that I took from Kamala Harris is that when you are for the people, when you represent every community, that you will win. When Commissioner Winder and I were on the ballot, people thought there had never been a black and brown ticket in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's history, that we might not do as well against the Republicans. Well, we had the highest increase in Democratic voter turnout of any of the collar counties. So people are going to have their doubts going into November. They're going to have their fears. But I know that when we are for the people, for all the people, when we show up, we are going to make history and we are going to elect Madam Vice President to be Madam President Kamala Harris. All right. So thank you, Pennsylvania Democrats.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now, listen, y'all. When we do all this stuff, when we're knocking on doors, when we're talking up, when you get up early in the morning, it's not just the elected official that's affected. I know this because I know this, and I watched what my mom had to deal with when my dad was out there doing politics, and I see it even more when I see what my wife has to deal with when we're out here, because everybody pulls at you and everybody wants you, and if you don't have somebody in your corner who's telling you can do it, it's more important. And you know the one group of people who have people pulling at their heartstrings and pulling at them more? That's teachers and coaches. Well, our next speaker, she is a teacher herself, but she's also had to support a guy who pours his heart and soul into everything he does. Now, I know he's done it as a congressman, and I know he's done it as a governor, and we've seen and we certainly heard about how he's done it as a coach. But guess what? She's going to have an even bigger role as the second lady of the United States when Tim Walz is the vice president of the United States. But please give a big hand, Pennsylvania. Stand up to welcome the next second lady of the United States, Gwen Walz.
Good morning, Pennsylvania. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Sharif Street. That was an amazing introduction. Amazing. Okay, I have news for you. I'm moving to Pennsylvania. I was just there on Sunday. Yes, Aliquippa. That is one great football field, and it's the same color as Mankato West Scarlets. So where Tim last coached. That was great. And I went to this place called Sheets. I'm like, Streets, Sheets. Okay. Okay, I know this is controversial. All right. Next time I'm coming to the Wawa. But I'm going back to that other place too. I'm not saying the name because we're moving on here. But I'm going back to that other place too because it was such a warm welcome. And there were so many things to see. If you watch that footage, I'm not in any of it because I was off exploring that store and ordering my stuff and seeing all what was there. So I'm anxious to come back to Pennsylvania and see everything that you have. And more than that, let's campaign together. Let's get this done together, right? I also just want to note a few things because I think it's important that I get to know you and that you get to know me a little bit. So I have a chance this morning to tell you a few things about myself. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that I love your governor. Yeah. Your governor has been a friend since he was on the trail and we were trying to help through the Democratic Governors Association. But he really became a friend when I met his wife, Lori, your First Lady. And we knew right away that we had so much in common. And there has not been one person that has been more supportive in the last 10 days than Lori Shapiro. I want to thank you for that. She has texted, she has sent me links to dresses she thinks that would look good on me. She has commiserated with me when I said, you know, like, I cannot get my hair to work in this humidity and those sorts of things, but it's much deeper than that. We both value being first ladies, but we value being moms. And we are important parts of the partnership. When Governor Shapiro is very public, I'm going to tell you that woman is as accomplished and as powerful as your governor. And in Minnesota, we work in partnership. So I just want you to know that. And the last Shapiro I want to mention is Soph. Do you guys know Soph? Yes. So she is actually working on the campaign. And I said, please put her with me every minute you can. She is a light, and she works as hard as Pennsylvania. I just can't even tell you. So thank you, and I want you to know that, because I think that's important. And I know that in the whole Veep stake thing, people have made it out to be, maybe there was a competition. Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz texted and talked throughout that entire process, and what they said is whoever can best serve with Kamala Harris to help her win, that is the choice we want. And the person who introduced us in our very first rally, when we had just found out that morning, and so had he, so had they, the very first person who introduced us and greeted us in Pennsylvania was your governor and your first lady. That's what Pennsylvania is. I appreciate that more than I can ever say. It speaks to your spirit. It speaks to your spirit. And that's why I'm moving there. Right? Right, thank you. So some of you know my name is Gwen. I should start with that. And I am so proud to be on Team Harris Walz. And I can't think of a better team to help get it done, right, than Kamala and Tim. They both have spent their entire careers fighting for middle-class families. And those are families like the ones they grew up in. You know a little bit about Tim's bio, and you're going to know a lot more before the end of this convention. They want to give everyone a chance to chase the American dream. Every single person. And I think that's something that we share in common that maybe the other side of the ticket doesn't believe in the same way. But we believe that in our bones. And together, Kamala and Tim are going to fight. They are going to fight for the future, for all of our sons and daughters and friends and neighbors, for everyone. And that fight is a tough fight. It has been just a little bit more than a week since Tim joined the ticket. We're counting the days because it's been a whirlwind. A whirlwind. And this is an opportunity, right, to sort of take a breath, take a beat here in this beautiful room, in this beautiful place, and think about what that means for the next 77 days or so, right? Like all of you in this room, I wear a lot of different hats. Or I like to put it in my own words, which I often do, I wear a lot of different shoes, right? Yeah, yep, I wear a lot of different shoes. I'm a mom, and I'm going to start with that, and I'm a friend, and I'm a sister, and I'm a First Lady of Minnesota, right? Yeah, thank you, friends in the state, right? And I'm also a retired military spouse. And for most of my life, more than 29 years in public education, and then teaching again since Tim has been the governor, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. Yeah. An educator. Are there any teachers in the house today? Stand up, teachers! Teachers, stand up! Stand up, teachers! Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work. It's almost back to school time, right? And as we say in education, let's take some people back to school, right? Yes. That's how Tim and I first met. And we were both teaching in Nebraska. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit of story about that, so you might know how Tim and I work together, or at least think so. Now he taught, do you know what he taught? What is it? Social studies, bingo, right? But I taught English. And we shared a classroom in this school. It was the old choir room, wasn't enough space, so they put a divider right down the middle of the old choir room. He was on one side of it, and I was on the other side of it. And I have to tell you, his classroom was a little louder than mine. You might have guessed that. There was a lot of energy in that classroom. But the first thing I knew about Tim Walz was that we shared a belief that education can be and is transformative, because we saw that firsthand. We lived that firsthand. I want to tell you about a student quickly named Waylon. And Waylon was a football player. And he was on the team that Tim coached, and he was a student in my English classroom. And he was brilliant on the football field. But guess what? He was difficult in my classroom. You know students, right, like that? Maybe you were one of them. Huh? Maybe you were one of them. Waylon was reading way below grade level. Now, I taught high school English, high school, right? Way below grade level. And he was acting out in my class. And actually, it was an attempt to hide it from his peers, right? And from me. Now, in our school, a student who was failing a core class couldn't participate in sports. That was the school rule. I know, probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, those are some things we do. So I knew this was going to be trouble, so Coach Walz and I huddled up and we made a plan. We said, if Waylon could come in for tutoring, either before school or during lunch or maybe even sometimes after school, several times a week, he could keep playing football. That was the deal. But we had to improve his reading. Now, he agreed. And he worked hard. And I started to see some of that work that I saw on the football field in my classroom. And there were good days and there were bad days. but Waylon's reading began to improve. And he continued the tutoring even after the season ended. We never discussed it, right? We never discussed it. We just kept on reading. We just kept on reading. And Tim would often cross that thin divider of our classroom, and he'd come and read with Waylon. And he'd talk about the books Waylon was reading, and he'd cheer him on. That was the partnership that Tim and I formed. Because together, for that individual student, Waylon, who went on to graduate from high school, and who had a shot to succeed, who had a chance to succeed, we said, it's about that person. We win when we think about individual people, when we think about real people, when we are real people. Right? Tim believes so strongly that every child deserves a chance, every person deserves a chance to get ahead, and I know that Vice President Harris shares that also. And importantly for us, that is a vision that they are going to fight for every single day in the White House. We will build a future for our children, for our neighbors, for our families, for our friends, that we can be proud of. That's really something, right? That is something. Last thing I want to tell you about myself. My mom used to say, now you maybe know my mom without even knowing my mom, right? Gwen, do the work that's in front of you. When I was younger, I thought that meant the dishes, or maybe the laundry, the work that was in front of me. But it was more profound than that. My mom was asking me to look around, see the world around me, see what was going on, and see how I might serve, how I might contribute, what I might do. My mom, who is now almost 86, still a church organist, still a substitute teacher on occasion in PE, still says that to me, Gwen, do the work that is in front of you. So I am here, Pennsylvania, to ask you to do that work together, that we define and we work together, work that is both thoughtful and actionable, but heartfelt and important. Now, as delegates to this convention, you already embody this advice. You're already here. You're already getting it right. But we have 77 days, right? 77 days to go. That is not a long time, but we can get it done. I am asking you to define that work in front of you and to help me know what that work is in Pennsylvania. Because as I told you, I'm coming to Pennsylvania. I've been there twice already in the last 7 days or so, right? Volunteer, bring a friend, have a conversation in parking lots, knock a door, bake brownies for people who are making phone calls, make phone calls, right? Bake bars, as we say in Minnesota, for those people who are knocking doors. Knock doors. Let's do every single thing we can and define it with what you see as the work, and tell me what that work is, and let's do it together. But this is the way we win. This is the way we win. It's the only way. Together. Together we define this. Tell me who you are. Let me know you. Let me meet you. Let me understand you. And let's build a relationship together that wins for this ticket for this country. I was so inspired by last night, weren't you? Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, it's a little bit difficult to get up and speak this morning when you heard all those really great speakers last night. But I said, no, I'm still coming. I'm still coming because we're going to do that work. But I want you to know how I see this, how I feel this, and just a little bit about me, because I want you to know that together we will do this. and together we will win this thing. So I'm just going to ask you to give me a little energy here before we leave, because I want you to say what the VP says. Hello. She says, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And when we fight Pennsylvania, we win Pennsylvania. Let's do this together. See you out there. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. Oh, you're so nice. Okay. Thank you. See you on the trail.
Pennsylvania Democrats, how about another hand for the next second lady of the United States of America, Gwen Walls, talking to us about real stories, about connecting with real people, that kind of compassion, that kind of working with folks, figuring out the kind of things that we all deal with day to day. We're not getting that from the other folks. We're not getting that from folks that think that people without kids can't vote. We're not getting that from folks from the other side, and I agree with Governor Walz, because a lot of stuff they say is weird. That was regular folk. That's how we connect with people, and that's why we're going to win America. That's why we're going to win Pennsylvania Democrats. But don't go anywhere, because it's not over. We got a whole bunch of big speakers, and we're going to let the secretary, we're going to let the next second lady talk to folks for a minute. But take your seats, because you're not going to want to miss all the folks who are coming up next, because we're going to be hearing from some folks that you are definitely going to want to see. You're definitely going to want to see. Are we fired up? Yeah. All right, Pennsylvania, are we fired up? You know, I can't hear you. I just noticed that our Speaker of the House is in the house. Joanna McClinton, stand up and wave to everybody. The first woman to be Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. So in a moment, we're going to hear from a guy who really doesn't need an introduction, because you all know who he is. He's a guy who started out as a mayor who decided he was going to run for president. And while he may not have won, he inspired so many people across this country. He let us know that no matter who you are, who you love, there's a place for you in America. He let us know that even if you're from a small town, there's a place for you at the highest levels of government. He's a person that has been working to make sure we can all move around, but he's a person who every day inspires people, gets up, works, and he's a young guy. On top of that, I'm so proud to introduce to some and present to others a man who's inspired a whole lot of folks, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. And the mayor's talking to the second lady. That's a special moment. And folks are excited. We're going to hear from just a moment. We're going to hear from Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete. Once you're a mayor, always a mayor. Now, my daddy was a mayor. He got the mayor's office 16 years ago, once you're a mayor. Jim Brewster served in the Senate, but he said, once you're a mayor, always a mayor. So my friend, Mayor Pete.
Thank you. Good morning, Pennsylvania. How about the next second lady of the United States of America, Gwen Walz? I am so excited to be with you. I never thought I could be this excited to be up this early after being up that late past my bedtime. But I can feel the energy in this party, in this room, in this country, and that is the energy that is going to propel us to victory in November. You know it. You are the center of the political universe right now. And can we count on you to turn out every single Pennsylvania vote? I know that we can, and I know that Americans will listen to the call if we reach out and find them. Because remember, the American people already share our vision of America. We just got to remind them of that. The American people already agree with us on issue after issue after issue. The American people already believe that it's the wealthy who are not paying their fair share and the middle class that needs a break, not the other way around. The American people already agree with us that in a free country, a woman makes her own health care decisions, not some politician, and you get to marry who you love and be who you are. The American people already agree with us that the best way to protect our children is not to ban books from their school libraries, is to keep guns out of their neighborhoods and make sure they're safe from gun violence. The American people are on our side. And it's not just the policies, it's not just the issues that people agree with us, it's results. Why would we want to go back to the higher crime rates of the Trump era? Why would we want to go back to the lower stock market, even for those people who think the economy is just the stock market? That's not how I see things, but for our conservative friends who do, remind them that the Dow Jones and the S&P was worse under the Trump administration. Remind your friends who think and care about energy policy, and maybe they're independents, maybe they're what I like to call future former Republicans. Remind them that we produce more energy in the United States of America under Biden-Harris than we did under Donald Trump. Why would we want to go back? We're not going back. And more than that, we're just not going back to what it felt like to be an American in those years. Why would it was exhausting. I was exhausted, were you? Every time you looked at the news, it was punching you in the face. You don't have to be a true blue-blooded Democrat to believe that we can do better than that. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are calling us to a better version of ourselves and a better kind of politics. That's why I take this message everywhere I go. Look, the last sentence I ever thought I'd be saying in my life is, I'm Pete Buttigieg, and you may recognize me from Fox News. But we're taking that message everywhere because we do have the better vision and we have the better leaders. I believe in Kamala Harris. I believe in Tim. Here's something about Tim Walz. And I'm a little biased because I'm a fellow Midwesterner. But I have seen so many campaigns spend millions of dollars on consultants and commercials to try to make their candidate seem like the sort of person who would be a football coach and a teacher and a soldier in the National Guard. Tim Walz literally is that guy, and he's going to make a great vice president of the United States. Especially when you compare him to the other guy. If you didn't care for the Trump-Pence show, you're really not going to love Trump-Vance. At least Mike Pence was polite. We don't need a vice president of the United States who thinks that people who don't have kids are childless cat ladies. I'm a dog guy with 2 kids, and I'm insulted by that. That's not how you talk about your fellow Americans. We definitely don't need a president of the United States who fact checkers assessed in his last press conference told 162 lies, misleading statements, or distortions. I don't know how he did that. I don't even mean morally. I just mean physically. I don't know how he did that. That is Olympic level lying. That is not what we need from the highest office in the land. We can do better. We will do better. With Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, Democrats up and down the ticket from your local races to your extraordinary Governor Josh Shapiro to Bob Casey, who we need back in the United States Senate, and all of the fantastic leaders. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for welcoming us here. We will see you on the trail early and often. Vote, vote, vote. We're going to need every single one of them. Thank you. Nice job managing the stage. Thank you.
That was Mayor Pete Buttigieg. It's not over, folks. It's not over. We've got a lot of important speakers. Listen, we as Democrats, we know that no matter who you love, who you are, where you come from, we welcome you. We're the Big Tent Party. We're the party that lets people know that no matter who you are, we're the party of the workers and making sure that people matter, everybody matters. But we're the party that also respects and only has our events in places, in hotels where they pay people a decent day's wage for a decent day's work. We're the party that understands that we respect the people that clean up our rooms, because what would this place look like without it? We're the party that understands there's dignity in work for everyone. And we're the party that not only knows how to say, yes, we can, but we know how to say, si se puede as well. We are a party that's for everybody. everybody. The Democratic Party es el party de toda la gente. It is my pleasure to introduce to some and present to others the Secretary, Treasurer of SEIU for the whole world, El Jefe de SEIU, Rocio Sánchez.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Pennsylvania. Is Pennsylvania in the house? Okay, I can't hear you. When we fight, when we vote, and we are going to win this November, and you are going to make it happen. So thank you so much. My name is Rocio Sáenz. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of SEIU. 2 million members, service and care workers. I know you know a lot about some of our locals here in the state, like the SEIU Healthcare Pennsylvania that represents workers in hospitals, nursing homes, and home care workers. I also know you know 32BJ, 32? Representing janitors, security officers, and airport workers. I also know that you know SEIU Local 668 that represents public sector workers. That's right. And I also know that you know there are 2 Workers United joint boards who are organizing a Starbucks. So this is so great. We are here. And some of our SEIU leaders, SEIU is in the Pennsylvania House, so let me just mention some of our folks. I cannot do it without giving them a shout out here. Neil Bisno, our Executive Vice President, who is also at-large delegate. Tom Herman, who is the former president of Local 668, also a delegate. Patty DeFibao, retiree of Local 668, and she is in the Credentials Committee member. Andy Perez Potter, who is Deputy Political Director for SEIU 32BJ, and she is at-large delegate. And Steve Kelly, organizer with SEIU 32BJ. Let me just say, I know 32? So SEIU is working to elect leaders up and down the ballot who will stand up to big corporations and write new rules so every worker has the opportunity to join unions so they can, especially those workers who have been written out and written off, and we want to make sure that they have the power to raise their wages, to move their working conditions, and being able to have a better future for themselves. And I know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are committed to rewriting the rules so more workers are able to join the unions, because we know SEIU workers, SEIU members are all in for Harris and Walz, because we know they are all in for working people here in this country. So SEIU members, we are being in the streets. We have been talking to high opportunity voters, and we know we've been doing this for months in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, in Lehigh Valley, and I know Pennsylvania Democrats. You have been on a roll, and SEIU is all in on holding on to the State House. We can't wait to send Senator Bob Casey back to Washington, and we can't wait to send Democratic congressional delegation, including Summer Lee, and SEIU members. We are making sure that Harris and Walz win Pennsylvania, and let's say this, in November, we are ready to stop Republicans from stealing the election away and overturning the will of the people. Because we know when we fight, when we vote, thank you, Pennsylvania.
Oh, thank you. All right. We're not done yet. We got a lot of folks. Listen, Pennsylvania, folks care about us. Folks are organizing for us. And some of the folks who are doing the work on the ground, helping to get it done, are here. There was a time in Pennsylvania where our delegation had the distinction of having no women in our delegation. And then all of a sudden, we went from none to 4. We have 50% of the Fab 4 who have turned the suburbs from red to blue and are going to power the wind to help us make sure that we elect the first woman president of the United States. They don't need long introductions because you all know them. Congresswoman Madeline Dean and Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, come on up.
Good morning, Pennsylvania. You guys are up. This is great. So look, we've had a fabulous cast of speakers this morning. I was so impressed with Gwen Walz and some of the things that she said. In particular, she's been on the campaign trail for a couple weeks, and she's already figured out the Wawa Sheets divide. I mean, that's a candidate with emotional and political intelligence. Unlike a candidate who maybe came to Philadelphia yesterday and tried to order a cheesesteak with Swiss. Thank you, J.D. Vance. We got the he's a weirdo going. So we're really, really excited. This ticket is amazing. We've worked with Kamala Harris on things like gun safety, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. We've worked with her on maternal mortality, on protecting our reproductive rights. We know she stands on the correct side of all of this, and adding Tim Walz to the ticket is such a bonus. In Pennsylvania, we understand the value of education. And as a lifelong civics advocate with a bill that we want to get across to provide more civics education, because I think we need some rehab civics education in this country. So excited to have Tim Walz on our ticket. So we understand the assignment in Pennsylvania, right? We understand the assignment in our blue southeastern Pennsylvania, in Allegheny County. We know we have to turn out every single vote, and we are up for that challenge. Then across the rest of the state, we need to cut into those red margins. As Senator Street said, it is a 67 county strategy. Our campaign has been assisting with that, providing some rental assistance for places like Blair and Westmoreland and Lawrence and Elk. Head of Westmoreland Dems, I don't know if she's here today, they told us that the week after Kamala became the presumptive nominee, they got 43 more volunteers in Westmoreland County, okay? So whether it's urban, rural, whether it's north, south, Erie, Philadelphia, Delco, and Montco, we understand the assignment, and let's go get it done. Okay?
Don't leave. Good morning, Pennsylvania. I'm Madeline Dean, honored to be here with you and Mary Gay Scanlon. We are 2 of the Fab 4. We thank you. And as the chairman said, back in 2018, there were no women in the Pennsylvania delegation. Wow, what a difference Pennsylvania can make, your work has made. We now have 4 women in the delegation. We have 5 women in the delegation, and we're going for more this time around. I think I can count at least 2 more that we can bring along. Janelle Stelzen to put Mr. Perry to rest, and Ashley Ehas in the Pennsylvania First. Let's make sure we do the work. I just want to be brief and say, before I got to Congress, I was 6.5 years in the Pennsylvania House. So I see so many of my colleagues from the Pennsylvania House. A big round of applause for all of you. A big round of applause for the Pennsylvania Senate members I see here in the House. And this election, it's so exciting at the top. It is absolutely exciting. Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, you can feel it. It is palpable in my district. It's palpable across the state. But Bob Casey, Congress, the chance to make sure, A, we get the president and the vice president, that Casey returns, but for us to return to a majority in Congress, you know what that looks like?
It looks like the work that Pete Buttigieg is doing that he couldn't even brag about. Infrastructure, all the big bills that the president signed into law with Democrats in the majority. So I want to say, whether it's on women's reproductive health, on educating our kids, protecting our climate, I just want to quote my 3-year-old granddaughter, Scotland, who sat on my lap at the Philadelphia rally chanting, "We're not going back! We're not going back! We're not going back!" Thanks, everybody.
All right, let's give a hand for our members of Congress. Listen, in Pennsylvania, you know, we have some blue areas. We just heard from folks in the suburban areas, but we got a whole lot of rural parts of Pennsylvania as well. We're a big state with lots of different areas. So our next speaker, you know, he was governor in another state, but he was born and raised in the Steel City. So I'm pleased and proud to introduce a guy who knows a lot about organizing in rural Pennsylvania. He knows a lot about organizing in rural America. He knows a lot about how Democrats can talk to rural voters. I'm pleased to present to some and introduce to others Governor Vilsack.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to be with all of you today. I started out life in an orphanage in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I grew up as a Steeler, Pirate, and Penguin fan, and I am still a Steeler, Pirate, and Penguin fan today. Look, you've had some great speakers in the last couple of minutes, so I feel a little bit nervous about this. I'm not sure I can meet the standard that Pete set for all of you. But here's what I can tell you. When I grew up and I took Pennsylvania history, they told me that Pennsylvania was the Keystone State. Now, let me tell you something. You are the Keystone State in this election. Make no mistake about it. You are ground zero. You are the most important state in this entire process. Why? Because if we win Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris is President of the United States, Tim Walz is Vice President of the United States. If Bob Casey wins, and I believe he will, then we'll have control of the United States Senate with President Harris and Vice President Walz. And you've got some extraordinary members of Congress. Bring them back, add to them so that we can have a Democratic House with a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate and President Harris and Vice President Walz. There's nothing we can't do as a country. We can build on the progress of the Biden-Harris administration. We can rebuild the middle class. We can expand access to health care, and we can restore reproductive health services and rights for every woman in America today. Now, to do this, you obviously got to do well in Philly. I get it. Absolutely. Got to have the vote. You got to do well in Allegheny County. You got to do well in Pittsburgh. Absolutely. Got to do it. But let me tell you, the key to victory, squeezing those margins in those rural counties. And if you don't believe me, ask Senator Fetterman about that. That's how he got elected. So here's what you need to do. You need to make sure that folks out there in rural Pennsylvania understand that Democrats have invested in their future. Now, Pete couldn't talk about it because he's the Transportation Secretary, and the Hatch Act prevents him from talking about what he's done in transportation. Doesn't prevent me from talking about it. Do you know that we are investing in a rural transit system in rural Pennsylvania and across America with resources under the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure law that's going to allow folks in rural places new vehicles and new transit systems to make sure that they have adequate transportation. You may not have known that. You may not have known that this is an administration that for the first time ever put real resources behind connecting rural Pennsylvania in terms of broadband and high-speed internet so that everybody in Pennsylvania has access to that technology. You may not know that the roads, the bridges, all of the construction that's taking place is a result of investments by a Democratic administration, and in large part with investments that are being made without much Republican support. You may not know that water and wastewater systems are being invested in, that housing is being expanded, that opportunities for clean energy, an enormous opportunity for Pennsylvania. Now, Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania yesterday, and he was trying to scare people, as he always does, by suggesting that the energy future for the country is bleak under Democratic control. Well, I want you to know something, and I want you to tell your friends and neighbors in Pennsylvania about this. We have had more energy production of all kinds. Let me repeat that. We have had more energy production of all kinds in this administration than in any previous administration, including the Trump administration. This is a guy who lies when the truth would serve him better. And we've got to tell our friends and neighbors about that. We've got to tell our friends and neighbors that expanded access to health care for seniors, so important in rural communities, is a result of a Biden-Harris opportunity to lower drug costs, which a Harris-Walz administration will continue to expand, saving seniors money, those who are living on fixed incomes. We know that rural hospitals are getting more support. More nurses are being trained. In other words, this is an historic investment in rural Pennsylvania, unlike any we have seen. You've got a great governor. You have a great governor. You have a great Secretary of Agriculture. You've got great people working within the state. They have a federal partner, and we'll have a better federal partner, more federal partnerships, if we have a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and President Harris and Vice President Walz. It is up to all of you. Now, one last thing I want to say. You know, the Trump administration, these guys are amazing. This guy Vance, he's going around talking about the Trump economy, the Trump economy. Now, the problem with his conversation about the Trump economy is he's acting as if 2020 never existed, that we didn't actually have a 2020. You remember that year. That's the year that President Trump mismanaged COVID. That's the year that people unnecessarily died. That's the year that we saw unemployment go to 8.4%. That's the year we saw businesses shuttered. That was the Trump economy that President Biden and Vice President Harris inherited when they took office in January of 2021. This was not rosy morning in America economy. This was doom and gloom economy. Our president, our vice president, soon to be our president, turned things around. They invested in us. They believed in us. And so we've grown the economy, record number of jobs, record expansion of health care through the Affordable Care Act, record small business startups, record wage increases above and beyond rates of inflation, which are, by the way, coming down. And if your friends and neighbors talk about the cost of food, here's the good news. The inflation rate for food in grocery stores is now 1%, which is 1/2 the 20-year average. In other words, it's lower than the 20-year average of food inflation. So it's coming down. We're working on it, and we've got an administration that will continue to do tremendous work in this space. So Pennsylvania, I'm asking you to take this message to every corner of the state, every town, every community, every neighborhood. Knock on doors, talk to your friends and neighbors. Make sure they understand democracy's on the ballot, the future of this country's on the ballot, the opportunity to deal with climate change and expand access to health care and restore reproductive rights, an opportunity for America to continue leadership in the clean energy economy and the clean, climate-smart economy, an opportunity to transition our country so that the middle class, as the President likes to say, from the bottom up and the middle out, continues to grow and expand. I know of no more important people in this entire process than the people in this room. You are the folks who understand how to get it done. You are the folks who have constantly won over the last several cycles. You are the folks that have to give us hope in every other state that Pennsylvania will be in the right column
on November 5th, that Pennsylvania will elect Bob Casey, that Pennsylvania will bring Democrats to Congress, and that we will have a brighter and better day, and we will be rid once and for all of Donald Trump. We're not going back, we're only going forward. Now, if you want to, and I'm going to finish with this, if you want to know how to capsulize all of this in something very understandable, I'm going to tell you a secret. Everything you learned about politics, you learned in driver's education. It's really pretty simple. If you want to go back, you put it in R. If you want to go forward, you put it in D. Thank you all very much.
All right, how about another hand for Governor Vilsack, Governor Tom Vilsack. Listen, I want you all to know it's not over yet. I just got word that Senator Amy Klobuchar is on her way to Pennsylvania. She wants to talk to us, and we're going to hear from her. But in the meantime, we've got some other speakers that are going to come up. But don't go nowhere, because y'all are going to say, y'all didn't tell me that Senator Klobuchar was on the way. So please understand, she is on the way up here now. But next, we're going to hear from Minnie Timaru from Reproductive Freedom for All. The Democratic Party has always been the party that will protect women's health care options, protect women's choice, and we're going to hear from Minnie.
Thank you, Sharif. Thank you, Chair. Good morning. All right, listen, you've been hearing from a lot of speakers, so we're just going to do a little bit of energy building, right? Get a little wake up. You got your coffee? Okay. Did you know 8 out of 10 Americans support reproductive freedom? We are the majority. So when I say we are, you're going to say the majority until everybody's awake. We are? Oh, I know Pennsylvania can do better than that. We are? I see Nina Ahmed over there. Come on, Nina. We are? We are? We are? All right, we're going to win this, Pennsylvania. Okay, so my name is Minnie Timaraju. I am the president of Reproductive Freedom for All, formerly NARAL, Pro-Choice America. But more importantly, I'm a former Philadelphian. Very grateful to everybody in the state for all your work. So, a couple of things I want to tell you about and get you ready for when you're hitting the doors and you're talking to your friends and family about this election. These are our top line messages about Trump versus Harris, okay? So Donald Trump appointed the extremist Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. Not only is he responsible for the end of Roe v. Wade, he brags about it. Not only does he brag about it, he's called it a beautiful thing. Disgusting. J.D. Vance, his running mate, might possibly be worse. In the wake of the Dobbs decision, he asked the Department of Justice to enforce a ban on medication abortion. He's voted against protections for IVF and contraception. And don't get me started about what he says about postmenopausal women and cat ladies. So we got a big problem there. Kamala Harris has been a fighter for reproductive freedom her entire career. As DA, forming a gender equity, gender violence division. As Attorney General, protecting Planned Parenthood. As a U.S. Senator, fighting for us on judicial nominations and going after Brett Kavanaugh, and as Vice President, leading the government's response to the devastating Dobbs decision, meeting with advocates and leaders and providers, hundreds of them across the country. Tim Walz, as governor, signed some of the most powerful legislation protecting abortion access in the country in Minnesota, the first state to do so after Dobbs, and talks about his family's struggle with fertility and reproductive assistance and technologies. We have a chance to elect the most pro-reproductive freedom ticket in the history of the United States. I see Nina clapping. I appreciate you, Nina. Thank you. But that's the energy we need to bring when we're talking to voters in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania voters deeply care about this issue. In closing, I want to also mention our good friend Bob Casey. He's in the big fight. His opponent is an extremist. His opponent would gut reproductive freedoms. Senator Casey has been a critical vote with us on restoring fundamental rights. So we got to elect Bob Casey. It's been an honor to be with you today. I know you're going to hear from really exciting speakers like Amy Klobuchar, who's another champion. It's really good to see all of you. Have a great, great convention.
All right, folks, we're not done yet. I want to recognize a few important Pennsylvanians that are in the house. I know Ezra Names was in the house, the mayor of State College. Where is he at? He just left, but Ezra's about here. We all know. I know we have the former chair of the Montgomery County Commission, Ken Lawrence. Everybody give a big hand for Ken. Yay! I believe are the Penn State Dems in the house. Penn State College Dems in the house. Listen, we're going to hear now from Joshua Stevens, who's coming to us from Rural Power Labs, or otherwise known as Contest Every Vote. We appreciate the work they've been doing, helping us organize on the ground, providing resources, partnering with the state party to make sure that we have resources and that we're organizing in every county, especially in our rural counties. Come on up.
Thank you, and good morning, Pennsylvania Dems. I want to talk a little bit about what our program is. It used to be called Rural Power Labs. Now it's called the Contest Every Race Grant. And what we do is we work and help organize rural county parties, right? Provide training and funding. And I'm happy to say we used to give $170 a month, and we have agreed to raise that to $450 each month for all of our grant teams until the election is done. And why is this? Thank you. Why is this important? It's because a lot of these Republicans will have everyone think that if it is a rural area, it's theirs. And I'm here to say that is not true. We have seen the hard work that all of you guys are doing. It's been thousands of doors knocked, of rural doors knocked. It's been thousands of calls made, and they're going to keep on going. So hey, we are going to be here. We have made a commitment to continue to invest in Pennsylvania rural counties. So please come and see me outside too. We want to talk more about rural organizing and how we can help. So thank y'all. Thank the state party for having us here.
All right. So I want to acknowledge Jamila Winder, the chair of the Montgomery County Commission. We're going to hear from her later in the week. But now the person who most of you are waiting for, you guys have been saying, when is she going to get here? But she is in such demand across the country. And we are pleased and proud for me to get to present to you somebody who's no stranger to Pennsylvanians, but who has worked across the country organizing. And she knows our next vice president pretty well. None other than Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Thank you, Sharif. Thanks, guys. Okay. As they say in the Senate, everything's been said, but I haven't said it. I am excited to be here, and I know we had a long night last night, but I have to say, with the love that Joe Biden has for Pennsylvania, as reflected in your very cool position on the floor of the convention, in front of us, I see you all the time, there you are. I just thought Joe did such an incredible job last night, and there was so much love for him in that room, and the fact that I still remember his lines, I love the job, but I love my country more. That's what last night was about, and tonight, it's going to be about moving forward. We're going to hear from Barack Obama, which is going to be great. So I think you all know I love your state. I've been there a lot all over your state. I am best friends of Bob Casey, and you better get him reelected. By choice, we sit together in the back of the Senate. Get this row. Chris Coons, we've sat together for 10 years. Chris Coons, Sherrod Brown, Bob Casey, John Tester, and me. Oh, and we never talk about the other senators. No, back there. But anyway, he is as good a person as you can get in the United States Senate. I consider him my best friend. And I just will do anything to help him. I will do anything. So I'm going to be out there campaigning for him. Thank you also for John Fetterman and the fact that we actually have the majority in the U.S. Senate, for your incredible governor, Josh Shapiro. He did such a beautiful job with the speech that he gave when Kamala and Tim embarked on their national tour right in Philly. Okay, so yeah, Philly, yeah. Okay, except when you beat the Vikings. Okay, we don't really like that with you. Oh yeah. Okay, all right. So I do bring you greetings from the state of Minnesota, where the women are strong, the men are good looking, and all the vice presidents are above average. We have given you Humphrey and Mondale and now Tim Walz. In fact, in Minnesota, when moms bounce their babies on their knees, they say, one day you can grow up to be vice president. That is the way we roll. And what I have loved about these last 30 days, and that is all it has been, first Joe's selfless decision, then Kamala launching that campaign. Think of what she's done in 30 days. What has she done? United our party in 2 days, raised over $300 million. She has electrified crowds and filled arenas with 15,000 people, which is really pissing off Donald Trump. That alone is fun. She is surging in swing states all over the country. So we are super excited about that. And what I love is the split screen. I love the split screen where you have Kamala Harris, former prosecutor, put murderers in jail. The other side, Donald Trump, with his over 100 indictments, 34 convictions. Remember that number, and remember when you hear Project 2025, that is not the number of felony indictments, okay? Just remember that. And when they come to Pennsylvania, by the way, this is what I've been saying in Minnesota, because they came there too, I always say, well, it's just a stop on their farewell tour for those two. On one side of the screen, you have Kamala Harris, who has stood up for women's health care, cross-examined those Supreme Court justices, right? Had their number from the very beginning. On the other side, you got Donald Trump, who just did a video this year saying that he was proudly the person responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade. Our message on this is simple. You know, my friend Al Franken always used to say that Democratic bumper stickers would say one thing and then they'd say to be continued. To be continued. On this, it's simple. Women have the right to make their own decisions about their health care and not politicians. And if I added one bumper sticker, it would be, we don't want Ted Cruz in the waiting room. Okay. So that is where we are. On one side of the screen, you have someone who believes in the rule of law. On the other side of the screen, you have a guy that literally called the Republican Secretary of State in the state of Georgia and asked for 11,000 votes. On one side of the screen, you have those big crowds and happiness. On the other side of the screen, as you've seen the last week, you have Donald Trump meandering around at his golf club talking about bird cemeteries. That is a true story. On one side of the screen, you've got a pair that's happy to be there, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And on the other side of the screen, you have Donald Trump and J.D. Vance that seriously look like they already need couples counseling, okay? That is basically what is going on. So last thing on Tim Walz. You met his wife. I love when they said no one knows him better. Well, maybe his wife. Okay, maybe his wife. Yeah. So anyway, this is a guy who, first of all, is great with strong women, which is, I think, part of why Kamala picked him, right? You met Gwen, Peggy Flanagan, right? Our lieutenant governor, who's the highest-ranking Native American elected official in the country. And me. Okay, so he's used to dealing with this. But the other thing that you need to know about Tim Walz, just like a lot of kids grow up in rural Pennsylvania and they sign up to serve early, he did that at age 17. For 24 years he served. highest ranking enlisted to ever go to Congress, headed up the Veterans Affairs Committee. And we know in Minnesota and in Pennsylvania that the National Guard is beloved. So I keep saying when Tim has been there for tornadoes and floods as well as being deployed over to Europe, I'm like, bring it on this record, man, because you got Donald Trump who called veterans suckers and losers and just went after Medal of Honor winners. Okay, so that is the contrast we've got there. Tim then, of course, was a teacher in the town where my husband grew up. My in-laws had 6 kids, 6 boys. They had 4 boys. They wanted a girl. She got pregnant again and had identical twin boys in a trailer home, and they built triple bunk beds for the boys. When she had these kids, people would bring her casseroles, they would help her out, and she's decided for decades, she's now in her 80s, she's going to do the same thing for others. So when Tim and Gwen had their baby boy, Gus, it was my mother-in-law that showed up with a chicken parmesan dinner and decorated that house in balloons. That is what people do in small towns. That is what they do to help each other. From there, he ran in that red district, and I can't wait for you to tell some of the people in your state as you make the sell for this team that it's Tim Walz that stood up, not only been good on taking on gun violence, but can also be a hunter and won the sharpshooting contest in Congress, knows how to stand in 10-degree weather in a deer stand, went on to get elected to governor, where he has done a lot with his power, from paid family leave to school lunches to the biggest middle-class tax cut in the history of Minnesota. That is the Tim Walz story. So I am excited to be here with all of you. I'm excited because our very democracy is on the line, and I'll end with this very last thing. I was the one on January 6th that made that walk over the broken glass with Roy Blunt, my Republican Congress counterpart, and Mike Pence. We were there with the 3 pairs of young pages with the mahogany boxes filled with the electoral ballots that included what? Pennsylvania. Because someone had had the foresight during the insurrection to get rid of those and hide them, or they would have been burned or they would have been destroyed. And we made that walk that in the morning it had been pomp and circumstance and a celebration, and at night was a nightmare. We were walking over broken glass, spray-painted pillars filled with racist vulgarities. But we made that walk, and we got to the House of Representatives where your great Pennsylvania representatives were waiting, and democracy prevailed. That is the walk. That is the walk that we are on, my friends from Pennsylvania. We must make that walk. That is the walk that took us to that inaugural stage where Amanda Gorman reminded us to find light in the never-ending shade. We have found that light, and let's finish that walk. Thank you, Pennsylvania.
Did we have a great, was that a great breakfast or what? Senator Klobuchar always brings the noise. She has been a great speaker. It's been a great breakfast. Look, we're going to have a great convention. Tonight we're going to hear some pretty incredible speakers. I heard a rumor tonight that I think we're going to hear from a couple of former presidents on the stage. So anybody ever heard of Bill Clinton and Barack Obama? So tonight we're going to have a great convention. Thank you all for coming out. Look, 77 days, Pennsylvania, we cannot take our foot off the gas. God bless.
I know what you need. You're the kind of woman like to be pleased. I done punched that clock and headed home from work. I can't wait to see you in that miniskirt. You keep a smile on my face, each and every day, yeah. You keep me happy, baby. You make me so happy, baby. You make me happy, yeah. Ooh, you keep a smile on my face. You make me happy, yeah. Each and home. You in the kitchen cooking collard greens and corn.